Cryptography concept. We have seen DES and AES algorithm, and also we have seen RSA algorithms and digital signature topics. Now in this session we are going to see the next topic, which is IP security and firewall. So let's start with that. So first of all, let us see what is IP security, that is IPsec. The IP security is an Internet Engineering Task Force standard suite of protocols between two communication points across the IP network that provide data authentication, integrity, and confidentiality. It also defines the encrypted, decrypted, and authenticated packets. And here the protocol is needed for secure key exchange and key management, which are defined in it. Let us see the uses of IP security. So the first is to encrypt application layer data. Second one is to provide security for routers sending routing data across the public internet. The third one is to provide authentication without encryption, like to authenticate that the data originates from a known sender. That means whenever the originator of the data is authenticated, it assures that the receiver receives the correct data. Next is to protect network data by setting up circuits using IPsec tunneling, in which all data is being sent between the two endpoints which are encrypted as the virtual private network VPN connection. So these are the basic uses of IP security. This is the diagram of IP security structure, or you can say header structure. Let us understand each of these in detail. So here the first field is IP header. Then the next field is AH, that is authentication header. It provides integrity checking and anti-replay security, but not secrecy, that is no data encryption. The use of authentication header is in transport mode, which is indicated in the figure. In IPv4, it is interposed between the IP header and TCP header. In IPv6, it is just another extension header and treated as such. Now, let us now examine the IP header and TCP header, payload feeding and authentication header. To start with that, first of all, we will examine AH, that is authentication header, in detail because it has sub-fields. Here in this, the first is next header field, which is used to store the previous value that the IP protocol field had before it was replaced with 51 to indicate that AH header follows. In most cases, the code for TCP will go here. This authentication header is of 32 bits, which is divided into subfield, as you can see in the figure, where the next field is payload length field, which is the number of 32-bit words in the authenticator header -2. The security parameter index is the connection identifier. It is inserted by the sender to indicate a particular record in the receiver's database. The record contains the shared key used on this connection and the other information about the connection. If this protocol had been invented by ITU, that is International Telecommunication Union, rather than IETF, the field would have been called virtual circuit number. Next is the sequence number field. It is used to number all the packets sent on an assay. Every packet gets a unique number, even retransmissions. In other words, the retransmission of a packet gets a different number here than the original. The purpose of this field is to detect replay attacks. These sequence numbers may not wrap around. If all 2^32 are exhausted, a new assay must be established to continue communication. Finally, we come to the authentication data, which is a variable length field that contains the payload's digital signature. When the assay is established, the two sides negotiate which signature algorithm they are going to use. Normally, public key cryptography is not used here because packets must be processed extremely rapidly and all known public key algorithms are too slow. Since IP security is based on symmetric key cryptography and the sender and receiver negotiate a shared key before setting up an assay, the shared key is used to signature computation. One simple way is to compute the hash over the packet plus the shared key. The shared key is not transmitted. Of course, a scheme like this is called as HMAC, that is Hashed Message Authentication Code. It is much faster to compute than first running SHA-1 and then running ISA on the result. The authentication header does not allow encryption of the data, so it is mostly useful when integrity checking is needed, but secrecy is not needed. One noteworthy feature of authentication header is that the integrity check covers some of the fields in the IP header, namely those that do not change as the packet moves from router to router. The time to leave, that is the TTL field, changes on each hoop for every example. So, it cannot be included in the integrity check. However, the IP source address is included in the check, making it possible for an intruder to falsify the origin of the packet. There are alternative of IP security header, which is called as ESP, which stands for Encapsulating Security Payload, which are operated in two modes, transport mode and tunnel mode. Now, the next topic is firewalls. So let us see what firewalls means and why it is required. The ability to connect any computer anywhere to any other computer is a mixed blessing. That means for individuals at home, wandering around the internet is lots of fun. For corporate security manager, it's a nightmare. Most companies have large amount of confidential information online, trade secrets, product development plans, marketing strategies, financial analysis, etc. Disclosure of this information to a computer could have dire consequences. In addition to the danger of information leaking out, there is also a danger of information leaking in. In particular, viruses, bombs, and other digital pests can breach security, destroy variable data, and waste large amount of administrators' time trying to clean up the mess they leave. Often they are imported by careless employees who want to play some games. Consequently, mechanisms needed to keep good bits in the bad bits out. Good bits in and the bad bits out. One method is to use the IP security. This approach protects the data in transit between secure sites. However, IP security does not do anything to keep digital pests and intruders from getting onto the company LAN. To see how to accomplish this goal, we need to look into firewalls. Firewalls are just a modern adaptation of that old security standby. That means the design which is done to stop any other intruders to pass into that. Here with networks, the some tricks is possible. That means a company can have many LAN cables connected in arbitrary ways, but all traffic to and from the company is forced to an electronic drawbridge, which is called as firewalls as shown in this figure. As you can see from the figure, a firewall is indicated which consists of two packet filters and an application gateway. The firewall in this configuration has two components, two routers and which does the packet filtering and the application gateway. Simpler configurations also exist, but the advantage of the design is that every packet must transit two filters and an application gateway to go in or out. No other route exists. Each packet filter is a standard router equipped with some extra functionality. The extra functionality allows every incoming or outgoing packet to be inspected. Packets meeting some criteria are forwarded normally. Those that fail the test are dropped. In this figure, most likely the packet filter on the inside lens checks outgoing packets and one on the outside lens checks the incoming packets. Packets crossing the first hurdle go to the application gateway for further examination. The point of putting the two packet filters on different lens is to ensure that no packet gets in or out without having to pass through the application gateway. Packet filters are typically driven by tables configured by the system administrator. These tables list sources and destinations that are acceptable, sources and destinations that are blocked, and default rules about what to do with the packets coming from or going to other machines. Blocking outgoing packets are a bit trickier because although most sites stick to the standard port numbering conventions, they are not forced to do so. Furthermore, for some important services such as FTP, that means File Transfer Protocol, port numbers are assigned dynamically. In addition, although blocking TCP connection is difficult, blocking UDP packets is even harder because so little is known about the prior knowledge of what they will do with it. The second half of the firewall is the application gateway. Rather than just looking at raw packets, the gateway operates at the application level. A mailed gateway, for example, can be set up to examine each message going in or coming out. For each one, the gateway decides whether to transmit or discard the message based on the header fields, message size, or even the content. Even if the firewall is perfectly configured, plenty of security problems can still exist. So, I hope that the concept of firewall is clear to you now and why we use it. In simple words, firewalls are used to block some particular sites for usage at institution levels or at some financial institution levels. These are the references. Thank you. Thank you for listening.